I'm excited that we get to start talking about layout. We left off with that outline thing. That was kind of just a big tangent. I gave you my analogy. If we're going from LA to Portland, right, I-5 is the route we take straight, it gets us there. But if we want to, we could kind of take a tangent, go off and see the redwoods, and then come back. And then when we got to Portland, we'd be able to talk to people about the redwoods. And oh yeah, I saw the Paul Bunyan statue. Yeah, no, I ate at that cafe. You're right. That was pretty good. The food they had, whatever. We'd be knowledgeable about the redwoods. So talking about the outline, HTML5 outline algorithm, that's kind of like going out and seeing the redwoods. It's a tangent from the main curriculum pathway of learning HTML and CSS. But I think it's a good tangent because the documentation's riddled with references to it. And so you should understand what it is and be knowledgeable about it and be able to talk to people about it. And also know how to use it. And the main takeaway from that, I just want to emphasize this clearly, is make sure that your documents make sense from a headings perspective. That's first and foremost, okay? And don't even worry about that outlining stuff. Just make sure your headings make a good outline. And so your headings making a good outline, here's our course, right? Welcome to HTML and CSS. That's the main topic of this page, the heading with the most importance. Everything else is a subtopic, right? And you can see the subtopics there, the H2s and the H3s. And so just make sure you structure your document that way. And don't get confused by all the crap that's out there where people are like, well, this is a new section, so I can make that an H1. Yeah, you can. No, but stick to the headings. You can do it, but don't. Stick to your headings. Your headings have to define the importance of the topics in your document. Okay? Cool. So that's the main takeaway from all that stuff we were looking at. Only last week on Monday. I caught you on the beginning of last week. I'm catching you on the end of this week. And I wish I could say for the time in between I was in Hawaii. It feels like I was out for Christmas break. It feels like I've been out a while. All right, so I'm excited that today we're going to start talking about layout. And the best resource for learning about layout, which I've come across, and I'm going to change that and say resources. The first one is Learn Layout, learnlayout.com. Okay? And then the second one is Flexbox CSS Tricks. Complete Guide to Flexbox. So these two things are your toolbox for going and referencing stuff. You got learnlayout.com and you have CSS Tricks Flexbox. Because CSS Tricks Flexbox does a much better job explaining Flexbox than this Learn Layout does. Because Flexbox gets a little bit, takes a moment to wrap your head around. Particularly if you've been web programming a long time, so you're going to be at a disadvantage. What's your name again? He's in Never Never Land. What's your name again, man? Alan. Yeah, Alan's been programming a long time, so he's going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. Maybe with Flexbox. He's going to be like, what? So here's the layout, the table of contents for Learn Layout. And I think this is a really, nice description. But you can see some things we're going to learn about are the display property, margin zero auto. We already learned about that. Box sizing, positioning, and then floats, right, is another big one. And then media queries. And then we'll look at Flexbox. I like Flexbox. It's my favorite. And then the third thing is can I use? Because you'll want to check, if you look at Flexbox. Feel free to move, V. You don't want this, man. I'm serious. They say 3 feet, but if I was you, I'd go back there. So 96% of browsers pretty much use Flexbox. I'm serious. I'd move, dude, for your own safety. So, all right. So let's get started with some layout stuff. And the first thing to know is display property. So things could have a default display property, and the default display property is block or inline, generally speaking. Okay. And things could either be block or inline. Let me change this. Sometimes I make typos, and they happen more when I'm sick. Look, cool, I totally talked him out of being close to me. He's like, all right, heck yeah, I'll move.
You asked.
I'm like Linus right now and Snoopy. Got that cloud around me. I don't know if I'm contagious anymore or not. So div is a block level element. Block level elements start on a new line and occupy the entire space of its parent element container, thereby creating a block. Learn more about block level elements here. Span is an inline element. Inline elements wrap text inside a block level element like this. Inline elements take up as little space as possible and do not start on a new line. Learn more about inline level elements here. If we look at like the display property, right here, block, some of the different settings we have for display will be block, inline, none, right? There's an exhaustive list of other ones. Let's see what it is. All those. Nuts, right? Look at them all. That's pretty cool. Display flex. But generally speaking, block, inline, inline block, none, flex. That's what we're going to be using. So everything has a display characteristic. It displays in a certain way. Some elements display their default characteristic as to be an inline element. I've got that right here. And some elements have the default characteristic of being a block level element. We talked about web pages being made up of blocks, right? Just kind of like a big Tetris game. Stack the blocks. So what would be an example of some block level elements? What elements by default are block level? H1? Or H6? Let's prove it. Am I a block? I have a reset here. Let me see what my CSS is doing. I am block. Notice I'm not setting display block, but that's kind of by default what it is. That's commented out. What are some other block level elements? Take up a whole line. We did that sectioning content thing, right, where we were sectioning up content. And when we sectioned up content, we were looking at a document, that outline document that we have for this class. It is running. Okay. Those looking like blocks to you? So those are all blocks. They're default properties blocks. And there, if you just do MDN and look for inline elements or block level elements, here's a page that talks about them, says everything I just sort of told you about them. But then here's a list of all the elements that by default their display property is block. So address, article aside, heading levels, H1 through H6, div, right? big caption, nav, main, horizontal rule, footer, ordered list, list items, unordered list, table, section, paragraph. So those are all going to create a new, go to a new line and take up as much space as their parent container will allow them to take up. And then the inline elements, give me an example of an inline element. Span is one of them. What's something where you're just wrapping some text to affect that text?
Yeah.
What? EM, emphasis, sure. Yeah, emphasis, anchor, classic, huge, used all the time. So here are those. These default to inline. Cool. B, big, I, small, TT. Anchor's like the big one. So you just need to know that different things have different default display characteristics. And block and inline and none are some of the main ones we work with. So that's just the basics of display. And so here's display block, right? I have, let me bring up this too, split vertically. Well, visualize this page. So we've got 4 blocks on top of each other. They'll be rounded corners. The height of each div will be 50 by 100, or the dimensions. They'll each have a border, and I'm filling each one with color. They'll be stacked on each other. Sorry, I just got to keep it professional. Bottom. Blocks. They're just divs. Kind of fun. And you'll notice I put a border 1pix dash blue around everything on the page. Okay. So why is it that these guys don't have a dashed blue border? Why don't my divs have a dashed blue border? Because I have a border right here. And that's more specific. Okay? And specificity is what determines what rules get applied. And there's an entire framework for figuring out CSS specificity. What's more specific? What should be applied? But this is saying apply to everything and anything. This is like specifically to divs. Plus this was hit later. This was first and then this was applied. I don't know if order would make a difference. No difference. Specificity wins. Sometimes order makes a difference. So what would happen if I did this? Not going to make any difference? And people say no difference. And people say difference. How many people say, I don't know, it might be a trick question. No difference. Right? This is just their default property. So I just basically wrote a property for the property that already exists. What about if I do this? What's going to happen? Bye-bye. Notice I did that dash blue thing, right? Dash border blue around everything. So you could kind of see, what's happening on the page, right? Like all 4 of those divs are in some container. What's the container they're in? What's this one right here? It's looking like body to me. Right? We could even check that. Body, border. Sorry. Yeah, that's body. What's the outer one? Is that HTML? Whoa. Cool. Can we do something to HTML? Huh, interesting. What about if we put margin? Nothing. Oh yeah, there we go. Brought it all in. It's kind of funny. Play with HTML and set settings on HTML. Get that out of there. Okay, so we did none. What about this? What's going to happen? What's going to happen to my little boys? Huh? They're going to be all in line? How many people say all in line? How many people say something else? Not quite sure. This is the trick question.
Yeah, something else.
Go for that one.
Let's see the code. Oh, there you go.
Kind of nutty.
Go back and show me the code.
Just display inline on things that are normally blocked. But I think the reason they all collapse is because there's nothing here.
Oh.
So they're just like right on top of each other because it needs a little something to fill them up. Now we got stuff in there. Right? What's up, Daniel?
If you set the inline block, do you need something in still?
No. Great. Daniel's one step ahead. So here's the next one. I could have done this. Inline and keep them block. But inline! And so you could have no content. And they'll line up inline block with their dimensions. They won't squish. They don't need content to fill them up. So that's display. So as we go on our journey of starting to figure out how do we lay stuff out on a web page, seems like there's something we wanted to know. You know, the first thing we think about is sectioning our content and getting it into the right tags, and then structuring it, you know, with our headings in terms of importance. And then once we've done that, you know, one of the things we want to think about are the display properties. And one of the tools we have is working with display. Okay, so things have default display property, and then you could also change their display property. And you could do different stuff like with them. So what's one of the practical uses of this that we see all the time? I didn't prepare this example, but it's a navigation list, right? So let me just do a navigation list example here for you. Display none, and I want that to be 34. 034 display common use example. I gotta adjust all these guys down. So we're gonna need an index. Well, let me just copy these guys. Copy those dudes. Common use example. UL li times 5. And I want some content in my li. And I want that content to be $. Surprised me too. The way it worked. There we go. Could have even changed it like this. There we go. There we go. So if I just look at this, and let me attach my, oh, I already have it attached. And what's my CSS doing? So I like to split vertically. And then I could see border, and then I don't have any divs anymore, or any ones. So I get rid of those. And do I want any of this? Border, 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 border. I think I'll do my LI. And I will add some padding. And just do 10 pixels all around. And I don't know about height and width. Border radius. I'll do a border and a border radius and display. Comment that out. See what it looks like. Any items. So far, not so good. Leaves a little to be desired. So one of the things we want to get rid of are those periods. So what's the anybody know the CSS for removing periods? Text decoration. Do I do it to LI or UL? It's UL. Nope. Either remove UL bullets. CSS. List style type none. Oops, that's not the page I wanted to refresh. Bullets are gone. What is it that I don't want to be block here? My UL or my LI? I want my LIs to not be block, right? I want to line them up left to right. So I'm going to change that to, I could do inline or inline block. Which one? Does it matter? Inline, cool, it'll wrap around the text if there is text. Inline block, you don't need text. So either one should be fine. So now I've got a little menu. If I wanted to, I could do a LI A, LI hover, and a background color. Cool. And then how would I incorporate my anchor tag in here so I actually get the finger when I hover over it? What do I want to wrap? This? Do I want to put the anchor tag around that, or do I want to put the anchor tag around this? How many people say just the text? How many people say the whole gosh darn LI? What's your reason for the whole gosh darn LI? Yeah, because then my touch target becomes this whole area as opposed to just the text. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me.
coach you yet.
Yeah, let's do an anchor, an href to nowhere, and then come over and grab that, bring it to the end. I'm all lit up. It's not liking it. But now I got the whole,
Oh, nice.
right? WebStorm doesn't like that, anchoring around an LI. But I believe we're allowed to do that. So we can look up at MDNA. Anchor defines a hyperlink to a location on the same page or any other page on the web. It can be used in an obsolete way to create an anchor point, destination for hyperlinks within the content of a page, so that links aren't limited to connecting simply to the top of a page. All right, so this is where we want to look for the definitive source, right? To figure out, hey, what can I actually put inside an anchor tag? Permitted content. Permitted parent elements. So we're looking what content? Transparent, containing either flow content, excluding interactive content, or phrasing content. All right, what the hell does that mean? Let's click on flow content, phrasing content. And so here we have this diagram. And it basically just said flow content, which is pretty much the whole kit and caboodle. Right? The Venn diagram saying where the different tags fit in. Each tag belongs to one or more of these categories. So flow content we can put inside, and we just put an LI inside. We could put a UL inside, and we could put keygen label no LI there. Where's LI on this page? I just search for LI. Links, link. So flow content or phrasing content. No LI there. Transparent, containing either flow content or phrasing content. What's transparent?
Stack Overflow says no.
Does it?
A little bit of older reference. It says you should do CSS
With what?
with a selector.
Oh, you know what? I think the right way to do it. So my bad. Let's bring this over.
It says the only legal things allowed inside shouldn't wrap them in a
That didn't work. Thanks for, dang it, I'm in one too many places. Oh man. X, V, X, V. All right, likes that. How do I now? How do I get this to work? I still have it all, but my touch target's only the text. How do I get the whole button? Anybody have ideas? Where is when my A is here? Let me help you out. What'd I do? So right now, that's my anchor. So that's my target area, only when I'm inside that green box. How do I get that green box there to match this one right here?
Did you put the same color for the pole?
Yeah, they're all the same green. So here's the CSS. Maybe width 100%. Height 100%. It's just a guess. Like fill up to my contained character. No, I didn't do it. Anybody have any other ideas?
Can you go back and cover on it again, please? Okay.
I need this pink box to match this outer container. Padding and border radius. So the box model, we have our content. Then it has padding, and then there's the border, and then there's margin. Let's just say padding 100%. Push that straight out to the border. Let's try that. Huh. That's funky.
What if you put class wide?
Huh?
But inside of the anchor tag, you put class wide? I looked it up, I don't know.
Do you
Going
have
off the
create
website.
class?
But what's the wide class have? What are the settings?
So it's anchor class. So right after your anchor,
Yeah?
put a space, so class
Yeah?
equals quotation marks between there for wide.
But then over here I'd have something CSS.wide.
Oh, you're basically
So what's that wide?
oh, okay. I don't know. I'm only reading it on here. It said that fills up the box.
Let's look it up. Stretch, anchor to container, CSS. Fill entire LI. Stretching anchor tag to fill entire LI. That's what you're on.
Yeah, I know.
JavaScript, home test, scrape wide, changes display property block, inline block, display block, UL menu, display flex, line item center justify, height 100%. Let's just try height. Height and width 100%. Oh, still not there. Sorry, I didn't think this was going to be this hard. I've done it before. It's just been a while. Padding 1M. Well, that's interesting. I had way too much padding. 1M padding 2 pixels. So I just guess you have to play with it. That looks about right. So the top's perfect. We could use a little bit more padding. Top, bottom, right, left. Because we're having other properties hit each other right there. All right, the nuances. Programming. So let's try this ourselves. You guys want to try it for a second? Create the ULLI menu items and have your touch target, your tap target be the whole thing. I'll leave this code up. Otherwise, we're just going to drone on.
One other question. What if you see something on another page that you like? How do you open that up? I know I go to inspect elements, but I'm not understanding.
Yeah, that's it. So I see something on a page that I like.
Right.
Well, I guess I have to look at that. So I want to see like, I don't know.
Well, the code, so I can know what image I can draw it from, or like the background color. I know I want the paint and everything.
Yeah, just right click and inspect.
Right, but
And then here's all your HTML. You can also right click sometimes and choose view page source. But that's getting more rare. So here's your HTML. And then the styles applied to any element show up over here. On the right.
Really good.
Huh?
Okay, the way to look on the page.
You could also just download the entire page as text. So at the terminal, you could do like curl World Wide Web. I think this works. What's the website? Well, here, this. Let me just make sure there's no other command. Oh, dang it. No other command I need. Curl HTML to text. Dang. Yeah, I think that'll work. So I can just do this. There's all the text. And I can also do curl, and then I can say greater than, meaning take everything that's from there and put it into, where am I? So just put all that into, if I change to documents and temp, temp. Sorry. Change to documents. And then I could, I have a file there. If I list all my files, one of the files is now that text file. And I could, open that up in a text editor. So I just open that. Yeah, Linux is useful. Curl's useful. So you can see all the HTML. And you can get their CSS. If I look through all their HTML, I can find their CSS just by, they'll have a import to style sheet. See you, Rio.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Continue to feel better.
I'm getting there. Thank you.
Thank you.
So here's their CSS right there. So I could just curl that. Server magazine /
What does the word curl mean anyway?
It's a little scripting language. Oh, that's the one I wanted. Curl's a reflective object-oriented programming language for interactive web applications whose goal. Curl combines text markup. It's a old deal, 1998. But it's good at the terminal just for doing little things like I just did.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So here's that code. So I refined my example here. And you can see I got those perfecto, right? So if it looks like it could be touched, it could be touched. And you can see the pink border is the anchor and the black border is the LI. So what did I do to refine that? I don't know, I brought some of the crap from LI down into A. The biggest trick was the padding, bringing the padding from LI to A. Because, you know, here, right, if I put that padding in there, if you think about the content model, I'm expanding. Let's look at it. Box model. That's what I meant to say. Box model, not Xbox model. Box model. Right? Expanding out, and so the LI is going to hold around that. So I've added 10 pixels right there, expanding out, and then it's expanding out and pushing my border out, right? By doing the padding, and then that's pushing out my LI. So my LI doesn't need anything around it. If I had something around my LI, like if I had this also around my LI, what's that going to look like? It's going to look like this. So I have 10 padding around my anchor, and then I have another 10 padding around my LI. The content of the LI is the anchor, and then puts 10 around that. And so that comes back to the box model. So understanding the box model, I should probably put that in as one of our folders right here, box model reminder, like right there. Because where did we do box model? We did it right here, box model. Do box model reminder, 29. And then, you know, did I hit record again? I think I did. Cool, I did. And then the fun thing to do is just to start playing with this and how much can I strip out what I don't need, right? So my LI, I have the border on right now. I want that. Show me, you know, the border, just to see as I'm positioning things. But when I'm done, I don't want the border there. Right, for doing the development, the design, yes, but when I'm finished, no, because I just want my touch target to be, you know, what's actually touched. So I don't want that extra 2 pixels or whatever there. And this one I do want a border maybe for design, so I'll leave the border on that. Border radius on LI, sure. Display inline block, sure. Border radius, sure. Display inline block, I don't know. Huh. So that's inline. That's inline block. So definitely want it to be inline block. UL, the style type none. So I think that's about as lean as we could get it for having a nice menu. And we're using inline block and the box model. Sort of reason about how that's all fitting together. So hopefully the box model is making a lot of sense to you. Content, padding, border. We were pushing out the padding, which pushed out our border. You know, and border radius 50 pixels. Then we rounded the corner of the border, which is holding everything in. And we wrapped our text with an anchor tag, so we put the padding around the text, which pushed out the border, because here's the text of the anchor tag, and then the padding pushed out the border. So the padding pushed out the border of the anchor tag, and it's got that rounded quality to it. And then we need a display inline block. Block elements take up as much space as possible. Right, top to bottom, left to right. Whereas inline is just inline. And so for us to get the full deal here, this was inline block. But when we went to inline, right, that's not quite it. So we need that to be inline block. That's it. And then list style type none. That's pretty great. So we just learned about the box model. We're kind of reviewing that, and then we learned about display. And things have a default display property. They could be a block level element. Elements have a default display property. They could be a block level element, or they could be an inline level element. We could also do none. There's also inline block. We could change things display property by setting the display property, right? And then that allows us to do some different stuff. Like the LIs, we said, hey, instead of being blocks, be inline blocks, right? And anchor tag, instead of being inline, right, just an inline level element, be inline block also. And then we have different characteristics when we set that display property for those. All right. You guys want to see some more, or you want to go home? See more? Raise your hand. Go home? Raise your hand.
I have class right after this. I can't go home.
All right, so you might as well see something, right? And don't get her started about BMWs. I'll stand by them. I like our BMW. So just want to do a little reminder about Margin Zero Auto. So what does Margin Zero Auto do? So we're leaving display. We just talked about display. All those files here were about display. Okay. We're leaving that. And now we're going to go talk about Margin Zero Auto. It's a new topic. So what does Margin Zero Auto do? Here's the code. So we have an example of Margin Zero Auto. So we're again referencing margin, which makes you think of what? What model? Makes you think of the airplane model. Makes you think of the runway model. Makes you think of the box model. That's the one. So margin should make you think of the box model. So if we look at the box model, there's margin. We have our content, our padding, our border, and our margin. So there's our margin. And when we say margin 0 auto, what is that again? 0 refers to what? Okay, how many people say 0 refers to something? I don't know. How many people say 0 refers to top and bottom? How many people say 0 refers to right, left? And this is the 0 I'm talking about right here, 0 and 0 auto. So remember when we set properties, when we have four, when we have 4 sides, it's not the whole thing. When we have 4 sides, we could set properties for those 4 sides in 3 different ways. We could set each side, right? So if I wanted to set the margin for each side, I could set it like this, which would be treble, right? Top, right, bottom, left, treble. So I've just set it for all 4 sides. I could also just set it once. Well, let's go to twice first. I could also set it twice like that, in which case top and bottom, right and left, okay? If you have 2 settings, or if I just have 1 setting, it's for all 4 sides. So top, right, bottom, left, if you have 4 settings. If you have 2 settings, top, bottom, right, left. If you have 1 setting, it's all of them. And so when we have 0 auto, 0 refers to the top and bottom, no margin on the top and bottom, and auto means automatically make the widths on the left and right equal. So body's going to be 80% of HTML, and it's going to be centered. And if we look at this page, body is 80%. Is that 80%? It looks a little bit tighter than 80%. Oh, because I have max width. Let me take that off. There's 80%. Okay? So I centered my body. Oh. Margin 0 auto. Why aren't my divs centered? Because in my divs, I have that commented out. If I want the width, if I want the margin on my divs to be top and bottom 0, right and left automatically equal widths, I got to do that for my divs. Now my divs are centered. Now there's width and there's max width. So I did width 80%. I don't know. Thought I'd just also show you max width. So if I wanted to, I could put in max width, and then max width would be, hey, be 80% of the page, or never any greater than this. So in that position, that's 600 pixels. And if I make this page smaller, then it could go to being 80%. See? Now it's back to 80%. Now it's back to 600. So that's max width. So that's just a reminder of margin 0 auto. All right. So next thing to know is box sizing border box. So we've learned about the box model. Which is this. That's the box model. Everything's a box. That box is content, padding, border, margin. And we've learned about display. Everything has a default display property. Every element does. It could be a block element. It could be an inline element. Right? And we could change that. And the main ones we use are block, inline, inline block, and none. We've learned about margin, zero, auto. And now we're going to learn about this thing called box sizing, border box. Why would you care? So box sizing, border box helps us standardize our layouts. So as we change things about the box model, right, like padding or border or margin, so here I change padding, and yeah, padding and border no longer. So before box sizing, border box, right? If I change my padding, whoa, and that could screw me up if I've only allocated so much space on a page from a design perspective, and I wanted to add a little bit more space around my text, right? So I add some padding, but oh, now my element got bigger. Crap. Bumped everything off the page onto the next line. My whole layout screwed up. So box sizing, border box says, you know what? Always keep my stuff the same size. And if I add padding and border, bring things in more interior, because that's not going to screw up my layout on the outside. So you can see it brought this in more interior. It added the padding, but at the expense of pushing it in a little. That's cool. Because I still want my box from the box model getting bigger and screwing up my layout. So box sizing, border box, a really common setting. Right? Just you put in your CSS, and when I change padding and border, right, I don't want it to increase the width of my box. It means it's going to bring things, the content inside is going to be compressed as I add padding and border. And so box sizing, border box is right here. Box sizing, border box. That's it. So it's kind of a couple of things to wrap your head around. That's why I keep reiterating them. We have the box model, which is just this deal. Everything's a box on a web page. And then we have display. Every element has a default display characteristic, either block or inline. Cool. We could change the properties of the display property of elements. It could be block, inline, inline block, or none. And then we have that margin, zero, auto thing. Then we have box sizing, border box. So that's a setting. And when we set that on something, it's not going to grow our element size on the page. So here, right, the width, the margin, and the padding would have been like 500 plus 50 plus 50, 600 plus 20 plus 20, or that's top and bottom. So that would have been like 600, right? Well, it made my thing 100 pixels bigger. Both box sizing, border box, no, still 500. The width is still 500. And we push things in 50 pixels on each side. So you can remember when I was first learning this, I was like, is it border box, box sizing, or is it box sizing, border box? Right? Like, dang, gotta go look it up. Which is it? And the way I remember it's box sizing, border box is because boxes are on the outside of something. And right here, did I already tell you guys this? I think I did, didn't I? Box is on the outside right here. So the box got to be on the outside. box sizing, border box. Boxes on the outside, cool, that's the right one. Because, you know, it's pretty easy to mix those up. All right, so that's box sizing, border box. So now that we've looked at all that, look at our table of contents. We've seen the display property, right? Everything has a default display. Every element has a default display characteristic. It could be a block or inline. And when we set the display characteristic, specifically, it could be block, inline block, or none, plus many others. And we saw margin 0 auto, right? And then we have, we looked at max width. We saw max width. And then we know the box model already. We know box sizing, border box, how that impacts things. And the next thing on our list is position. So position is another way that we could position stuff. So we could set position on things. I don't think we have enough time, nor do I have enough energy to drop into that, but I feel like you guys also probably got a head full. Like you got enough to chew on. So let's think of some exercise that we could do with what you've just done here with display. I think definitely creating the menu, let's make that an assignment. Okay, so you could submit that, push that code up to GitHub, and then submit that, and I get credit as an assignment. So I'll add that as a Blackboard assignment. And I think I also want you to create one of my favorite pages, which is a
Whenever that pop on.
yeah. So yeah. No. Anyhow, I'll just create it right now. So we'll put in a new challenge here. So after display, we'll make it 35 challenges. Actually, that should be 34 is common use. I'll make it 34. Oh, 34. I'll make it challenges. And oh, 3.6 solution. And I want all the way back up to display. Display block. What's this one doing? Alright, so I don't want the dash blue stuff. That's just for development, seeing all my blocks outlined. And my divs, I want that. And 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's fine. And then I'm just going to recreate all this. I think it's kind of a fun page. Oh, those are IDs. Crap. I can only have one of them per page. So I'm going to select my ID, get class, and select my pound. Make it a, oh, I don't want those. Make it a period. kind of fun. I'll have you create that. It's kind of cool. So I think I'll give you that assignment too. And the solution's there, but it gets you to play around some code.
No Blackboard, right?
Yeah. So last thing I'll do here is I just need to clean up my code. And so if I look at my file folder structure here, I have two 29s, two 35s, two 36s. So everything needs to shift down 3 to make room. So that's going to become 43. This is going to become 42. This is going to become 41. This is going to become 40. This is going to become 39. This is going to become 38. This is going to become 37, 36, 35. This is going to become 34. This will become 33. This will become 32. This will become 31. And this is going to become 30. And then I could do a box model reminder there for you. And that is a box model right here. Or I'm just going to drop that image in. So I'll grab this image. Save image. It's from W3 Schools. I can't take that one. I need wikis. Box model, wiki, Wikipedia. Box model, CSS box model. That's my only image. Alright, I want, where's that image? Was it W3C? Schools. Box model, MDN. It says box sizing is experimental. Let's go see. Box sizing, 97.73%. Well, let's see what's out there. Box model and more search tools, usage rights, labeled for reuse. That one's okay. That's crazy. There's too much going on there. Why? Alright, whatever. Oh. That's not reuse, though. I'll get this one in a second. Alright, so this is the last thing I want to show you was just Control C that. And then I am in my HTML, CSS, and LS. And so those are all my folders. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 7, 20, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2. So now I will do a get status. Things have changed. So I'll do a get add -- all. Some people do a get add dot. Sometimes I've done that and said you need to do -- all, whatever. I'll stick with -- all. And now if I do my get status, things are a little bit different. And what I just did was I just added everything to the staging area. And I'm doing get commit with a message. and the message is going to be code changes in class, talking about display and box sizing. I should probably also do box model, display, and box sizing. And get push is the last one. So push it up. So get add dash dash all, get commit dash m message, and get push. And now if I do a get status, cool, and get pull, right? I'm already up to date with master up there, origin and the origin. So if I look at GitHub, and go to my repos, look HTML and CSS. All right, excellent. All the code that we just did is there. And I'll add in those 2 assignments for you. Create that 1 page. And then also the menu. And I will see you all next week, Tuesday. How many people got your money's worth? Cool. How many people are excited? Like, oh, the ball went forward. Cool. Yeah, just make sure you come back to the way, look at that directory structure, and it's really like, okay, box model reminder, everything's a box, and a box has content, has padding, has a border, has margin, right? And then okay, display, every element has a default display characteristic, whether it's block or inline, and we could set the display characteristic in CSS and start changing it. And then the margin 0 auto and box sizing border box, you kind of know what those deals do now, right? And then just go and take a look at that Learn CSS layout and kind of see how they present it and go through, we went all the way through box sizing here. So it'll probably take us 4 days, 5 days to get through all those elements. See you guys. Everything go okay at the registrars?
Yeah, they said they would get signed and done on Tuesday. So on Tuesday I'm gonna bring the papers to the front office and that should be it.
Okay, cool. See ya.
See you.